and welcome to the Your Food Matters podcast. I'm Dr. Sue Kleiner, here with my wonderful friend and colleague, Erik Bustillo.
Hello, hello. Hey, Sue. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Erik. We are so glad to have everyone here today. We are on all podcast platforms, and you can hear us as well as see us on the Move Nutrition Network YouTube channel. Please share us with your friends if you're enjoying our podcast and hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you on our list and be able to reach back out to you when we have questions and to share information. And so let us know that you love us. Give us a heart, and we'll deliver. So
Amen.
today we're thinking about holidays. It is that season, and it really seems to be year round these days. Hardly a month goes by that there's not some kind of, celebration that gets you off track or helps you just get together with family and friends, and how you manage through that to maintain your wellness is what we want to talk about. So take it away, Erik.
Yeah, thank you, Sue. The holidays, I've always associated them as being a time of having fun, enjoying ourselves, spending time with loved ones. Um, and we know that with all that, especially when we transition from maybe being young children to adults and just kind of going through life with all that, the association when we're children is, there's family, there's togetherness, there's gifts and all those sorts of things. um, but I think we never really think about the impact that it can have on something like health. I mean, when we're kids we don't think about any of that stuff.
No, it's
um,
just fun.
it's just fun, that's it. But as we get older, there's definitely this, especially like if you're in the workforce, if you're working somewhere, people are going to be bringing food. There's there and it's with the best intentions, it's always these sweets and these treats, if you will. And there's the holiday parties and the get-togethers for work, for the family, for friends, and all of that. And to your point, it does seem as if the holidays are just kind of year round. There's always something, from birthdays to religious holidays to created holidays.
I know.
Like Valentine's Day is one that I
Right.
like to use. That I think it's cool to appreciate people that we love, including our significant other. Um, but man, do they try to get you to go out to a restaurant and spend money on chocolates and flowers?
I
And
know.
like, I'll give my lady flowers any day of the week. Goodness gracious. Uh, but as and especially as a practitioner, I've found that there are common trends around the holidays, and these trends are several different things. One of them is that it's not all just fun games and joyfulness and cheer. The holidays for some folks can bring feelings of sadness. It can bring feelings of just kind of feeling a little bit down. um, I've also found that the holidays aren't only happiness 24/7. There's also a lot of stress around the holidays. For some people, it can be stressful trying to find gifts for everybody, feeling that pressure. For some people, I think there's a financial stressor. And then there's also the stress of potentially seeing people that maybe certain folks aren't a big fan of seeing or being around. Maybe that one person from their family, or that one person that they work with, or had a poor experience with one time, whatever it might be. So there's a lot of that kind of going around the holidays. And then of course we hear about the holiday weight gain and the working out less because of the holidays, maybe because of the increased stress and other things. So from a nutrition standpoint and a fitness standpoint, it's just like there's so many things around the holidays, when we used to think it was all positive when we were younger. And as we grow older, we see that there are certain things that maybe aren't all positive, right? So certain realities of
Right,
growing up and
right.
growing into the
Well,
holidays.
and the aspirational nature of what happens at this time of year, between all the advertising that everything is so fun and so lovely, and it's you see all these families getting together so happy and joyous with plenty of money to buy whatever they want. Plus, you go on your social media and all these very curated pages of people who are exactly looking the way they want, buying what they want, being where they want to be, in control of their lives. And none of that is actually true. That's completely curated. And so is the advertising. But it makes us feel less than sometimes because nobody's life is like that. Just full stop. And I have to say, in my career, I have worked with, when you think about people that in your dreams have all the control and all the choices over their lives, people with more money than they know what to do with, and when we watch from the outside, they look like they have such freedom and such wonderful lives. I have to tell you, when you're in the middle of those lives, there is nothing quite so wonderful about them at all. And in fact, I used to be so happy to get on a plane after consulting and say and be happy and think to myself, I am so happy to go back to my simple life because their lives are not certainly not everyone, um,
Sure.
but but in a lot of instances their lives are insane. I just have to say, from my point of view. And it's, I've always been very respectful and careful to never talk about who my clients are because, of course, HIPAA, the health law, the health, privacy laws. Eric and I are healthcare practitioners, and we operate under those laws, and so we don't
Definitely.
share who we work with. But I can feel comfortable that no one's going to be able to know who I'm talking about. But it was a life lesson for me to actually see that in real life and know that um, I was so much happier in my own life with what apparently looks like much less, certainly financially and stuff.
Yeah.
So much less stuff. So, so today, having said all of that, we do know that the stresses are real, that some people have to travel on top of it, which is its own anxiety producing event these days, whether in the car, in traffic and weather, or by plane or train, however you're getting around, costs, managing schedules, that sort of thing, worrying about getting sick. And then managing nutritionally, managing your fitness, your mental health, your hydration, all of the things that either are going to make or break this season for you.
Yeah, and I've got to say I've been going through that myself. In this month that we're currently in, I will by the end of the month I will have gone on I forget the exact number, but over 10 flights.
Wow.
Um, and obviously flights meaning like going to where I'm going and coming back to
Right.
where I'm coming
Right.
back to. Um, and I see a lot more movement and maybe commotion in the airports and all of that. So a lot of people traveling for the holidays. Um, and I like that you shared that story about the people who think that more is always better, basically. Um, there, and I don't want to poo-poo anyone who makes money. Obviously, we need money to be able to travel, to be able to get
For
things for loved
sure. We
ones and
work.
eat and all of that. Yeah, exactly. We work, but I've also experienced that before, and I think a big message that I want the listeners and viewers to take away is to remember simplicity. Um, I think simple is the key. So when it comes to a lot of these things, so for example, just talking about stressors, when we talk about holiday stress, if we think about simplicity, um, a simple gift can go a long way. We don't have to buy the most expensive car toys or doll houses, or whatever it is that kids are into these days, a PlayStation 5 or something. Like, we don't need to buy those things. It could be a simple gift, maybe an experience, with your niece or nephew, or something along those lines. um,
And
I also
sometimes
think. Mhm.
sometimes it's just time together is a gift in and of itself, because we do get very busy, and I think we forget that time together is a real gift. And so, make a card, wrap it with a bow, put a note inside that the gift is going to be time.
Yep,
Sorry about that. I
definitely.
think my doorbell just rang.
No worries.
But the
It's
gift of time, either you're giving someone time. I say, for me, at one point in our lives, the gift of time was that my husband watched the children so I could go to the gym. Right? That was we had no money, but that gift of time back to myself was so valuable to me. It was the ultimate gift. Um so not to forget that.
And I think that's a great one for all of us to remember, because as nice as it is to be able to give things to the people that we care about, and I love to give, um, I think if we can plant that seed of time and togetherness, uh, for young children to understand, right? So kind of helping the next generations. It's not about the things; it's about the people
Right.
and the quality time with them. And I think that that's a simple message that oftentimes we forget.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. So one of the things that I had tried to work with my clients sort of uh, behaviorally about times in your life where you feel like you won't have the choices to carry through on that are important to you for some period of time. Hopefully, it's not extended, but let's say you're going to go to a party and there's a big buffet table, and you want to have the freedom to just enjoy yourself and eat whatever you want to eat. That's okay. The trick there is that you enjoy yourself, you eat it, you love it, you savor it, or drink whatever you're doing that you
responsibly.
responsibly. But then the next day when you wake up, you're back on your plan. Instead of saying, "Oh my God, I got home. Now I'm so guilty. I did all these things that were off my plan." Now you're so guilty and you feel so bad. Whatever you brought home from that party to eat tomorrow, you eat all of it tonight. Anything, I always say, that doesn't run across the counter by itself is fair game. And you just eat all night long because you feel so bad about yourself. And the next morning, instead of getting up and going to whatever it is, your exercise, eating what your plan is, you just beat yourself up more and you say, "Oh, that plan didn't work anyways. I'm just blowing it all off because I've blown it already." And and the that's the failed choice. Not that you ate the night before, but that the next day you punish yourself so badly that you say you don't even deserve any longer to be on whatever plan it was you had. So that's the key, is the next day returning to what is good for you, whatever that plan is. And your brain craves routine. Your brain craves knowing what's going to happen. We learned from one of our guests, actually our last episode, Dr. Jamie Tarter. She told us that the brain is a prediction machine and it wants to know what's going to happen next. And so the night before, when you didn't do what typically happens next, it gets a little flustered. Well, to give it comfort again, get back on your routine. Do all your rituals that you always do, and you will feel back in the zone. That's the key to whether you're off for a night or you're off for a week of your plan. Schedule it back in.
And I think some people need to hear this reminder is that it's not always going to be easy. Like it's going to take effort to get back into that. But we reap the benefits, right? We what's the you reap what you sow kind of thing. Um
Yeah.
so the getting back to your regularly scheduled program, whatever it might look like, I like that you said that some people think that oh, that's it. I've ruined everything, so basically to hell with everything.
Right.
Like that's it. Who cares?
Right.
Whatever. Um, because they think that they've failed in that moment of weakness. And I use the air quotes because it's not really weakness. It's just like you can
It's
indulge. It's
just
okay to
life.
indulge. That's exactly it. Like whether you plan the indulgence, which I think can go a long way,
Right.
or if you don't plan it, make sure that you enjoy it. But if you do that, you're not a
That's key.
failure.
Right.
You're I consider a failure quitting. So if you ate the cookies that you oh, I've been avoiding the cookies for so long. Okay, great. You went to a family party. The cookies were there. Enjoy it. You didn't fail anything. You enjoyed what you had. Back to your regularly scheduled program. If you don't get back to your regularly scheduled program, then maybe it's a little bit more of a failure.
Mm-hmm.
But we can always get back into the regular routine of these things. But shifting the mindset is huge because if we're consistently thinking, oh, it's the holidays, so I'm gonna do whatever I want. Like I'll start again in January. That's not the right approach. Like I try to help patients and clients understand, like, hey, try to stick to what we've been doing throughout the year as best as possible. The holidays, in reality, as far as specific days of holiday eating, quote unquote, you're looking at just a few days, right?
Right.
It's maybe Thanksgiving, maybe the day after the leftovers and all of that. Um, then there's certainly there's Hanukkah, there's Christmas Eve for Hispanics that we do Noche Buena, and then there's maybe the New Year's Eve into New Year's Day kind of thing. Majority of the days are not comprised of holiday eating. Sure, there's holiday events, but we can still focus on those fundamentals. Ensure you're getting adequate protein. Try to load up on vegetables. Stay well hydrated. And please, for goodness sake, don't stop exercising just because it's the holidays. And I know there's travel and it gets tough, but we can squeeze in 10 minutes or an hour in 10 minutes, but we can still make it happen.
Right. I have the greatest story. I did have a client, and I'm going to say her name because it is public. Trish Zuccotti. So Trish came to me. She was actually, she's actually, if you look her up, she's an amazing woman. Trish broke the glass ceiling at the finance accounting firm Deloitte and Touche, which now is Deloitte. She was the first female director there. And in her mid 50s, she started to exercise and she went to a gym. And, sort of a long story short, she began Olympic weightlifting and she was very good, really gifted. I always said, imagine if you had found this early on, you would have been, an Olympic champion. Well, she became a regional, then state, then a national champion, masters level champion, very in within a couple of years. And
Wow.
she needed to drop some weight to get into a better weight class for her, and also to be healthier, frankly. And her trainer had gotten her as far as he could get her, and then he referred her, or they found me, whatever it was. Ultimately, Trish changed from being at Deloitte and Touche to being at Expedia. And she was VP of accounting and finance at Expedia when they spun off from Microsoft. And we continued to work together. And she traveled all over the world. I mean, talk about, God knows how many flights she took in a month all over the world as they were setting up these accounts for Expedia in places where nobody had ever traveled, frankly. And she continued to compete as an Olympic weightlifter, went on to win a gold medal, or became world champion. Um, and how did she do that with all that travel? She knew every lifting gym in every city that she traveled to, and she was traveling for work at it. She was the executive level of the company, setting up accounts. She had a whole team with her. They would land. She'd give them the corporate credit card and say, "Go eat your dinner. I'm heading to the gym." And she maintained her weight. She Because mostly, I would say, I mean, she was pretty religious about her diet at that time, but really it was her lifting. If she didn't get her exercise in, lifting and other exercise on a regular basis, she would have never been able to compete and several times become world champion. So it can be done. Now, these are people who really have a huge goal and a big personal mission, right? And so everyone can't do that. They're passionate about something and they are driven, but you can do it at some level. And, I love the clients that I have worked with who are just average, everyday people. When they travel back home with their family, they negotiate an hour to an hour and 20 minutes of time to find either the spin class that they love or the yoga class that they love, or to get out and do a run wherever you are, or maybe the whole family goes snowshoeing depending on where you are in the climate. And you continue to be physically active even if it's different activity than you usually do.
The fact that your client was able to maintain that says a lot about her, right? Her dedication and all of that. And I think it's important for people to hear those kind of inspirational stories,
And she
because
was 60 years old, mind you.
that's amazing.
This was not a 20-year-old.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But having the ability to do that, obviously having access to gyms and all of those things is a part of it. And I know some people are gonna be like, oh, yeah, I can't afford gyms everywhere I go, and
Right.
I understand that. But if you're staying in a hotel, hotels oftentimes have gyms. There's also routines that you could do in your hotel room. It's not as fun. It's not as exciting. Believe me, I'm not a fan of doing hotel routines like in your room. But sometimes, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. But
Push-ups.
there's that's it. Push-ups and squats, you can go very far with that,
Turn on the music and have some fun.
and just enjoy it as best as you can. And then of course there is something to finding gyms around you if you're traveling. One thing that I enjoy about being in the CrossFit community is that there are CrossFit gyms all throughout the country and all throughout the world, and you can drop in to a gym and have fun with that community there, or just work out alone. But there's a certain mindset is the whole point of what I'm
Right.
saying.
We're focusing a lot on exercise, and you've got two dietitians here. But here's the thing that I think Eric and I both know, that the exercise is profound in helping you feel better, maintaining sort of your mental stability. And when you don't exercise and you become quite sedentary over these days, uh, you start to feel worse about yourself. It's just what happens. And as you feel worse about yourself, you're less likely to make the nutritional choices that you had planned to make. And so everything really does go down the tubes. So exercise is profoundly important to raise your mood. And if you raise your mood and you feel better, you're more likely to stick to your plan. And then there are foods that can help you feel better too. And at this time of year, if there's nuts on the table and there's cake, go for the nuts. If there's dips with vegetables, eat that too, along with the other things. But make sort of inclusive choices. If there's, as Eric said, go for the proteins. if there's whole grain crackers, go for those. Uh, the things that can make you feel better while you're also going for, some of those treats that you never get to eat. And that's one of the tricks that I like to reinforce is sometimes the only time you see a certain cookie or a certain, I don't know, sweet treat or even savory treat or beverage is when you go home and it's a traditional family recipe and you only get to have it once a year. Go for that, select that thing that is comfort food that reminds you of wonderful things in the past, and you really enjoy it over a bunch of chips and pretzels that you could have anytime.
Yeah, and that's for me. That's pumpkin pie. My grandma, who was from Cuba, got me into pumpkin pie when I was a little kid, and that's become my like Thanksgiving slash holidays. At the end of the year, holidays, like tradition and routine is enjoying the pumpkin pie, but still prioritizing the things that I know work well for me. And I try to get patients and clients to stay on board with that, shifting the mindset into, hey, it's okay to enjoy. I can have grace with myself. I can enjoy family time and all of that, but I can still take care of myself. I can
Hmm.
still prioritize the foods that are important for me, still lift weights, still go for my runs or my jogs or row, whatever it might be, because that is going to allow me to stay and feel at the best that I possibly can during this time. No guilt and enjoyment with all these things, but staying with the regularly scheduled program.
I have a client who said before she started working with me that going home for the holidays was kind of an out of body experience. That 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 the demand was so great to focus on everyone else that she couldn't focus on herself at all. And I said, "Well, while you're thinking about gifts and doing for everyone else, can you give a gift to yourself? Do you get to be on your gift list? What gift would you give to yourself?" And she said, "Control, self control." And not self control rigid, but more like I want to be able to have an hour because everybody, it's like this the whole family has to be together all the time and nobody leaves, right? and and that's kind of dictated by, I don't know, whoever the matriarch or patriarch of the family is. And I said, "Well, is there a way that you can just kind of slip out for an hour and take some time to yourself and get yourself centered again so the rest of the day is, even if it's before everyone else is kind of up and around." And that's what she did. She took early time, even though she said, "Oh my God, it's my, time to sleep in." But she felt more disjointed taking the time to sleep in than she did to get up earlier than everyone else and get out and even go for a walk, whatever it was, to have personal time and get herself centered and then just get back into the wildness of a big family. So all of those kinds of things, self-care, as you said, is so important. And if you allow yourself, sort of personal dignity, even though some people go back and they feel like they lose that because they become the child again, even if they're 42 years old. Um, that is very meaningful to go back and then, kind of hold on to that, even if it's not what's sort of circling around you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And those are good points for I think people to just kind of keep in mind. But before we sign off here, I kind of just wanted to give people like my little takeaways to keep in mind, and some of them we've mentioned. You know, at least one of them we didn't specifically say, but from a nutrition standpoint, enjoy the things that you enjoy, get back onto the regularly scheduled program, but don't forget about those fundamentals of prioritizing protein, vegetables, and fruits. Still get those quote unquote healthy fats as a part of your nutrition: olive oil, nuts and seeds, avocado, assuming that you have access to them. Uh, Portion control is always going to be beneficial. And it's okay to put yourself on a caloric budget if you wanted to be mindful of that. It's okay to eat a little less and then indulge at the end of the day. If you're going to be enjoying this like holiday meal kind of thing, it's okay to do that. Let's just not obsess about it. Um, Stick to your fitness routine. That I can't emphasize how far that can really go. But then, as far as stressors go, be kind to yourself. If the finances aren't necessarily there, try to not stress yourself out about buying everything for everyone. And the last point that I wanted to make was it's okay to say no. We don't have to say yes to every single person. If we don't want to go to something, it's okay to say no. It's okay to just kind of hang out at home with your loved ones by yourself. It's okay and spend time with your dog or your cat. Like it's fine to do that. It doesn't have to be about buy everything, buy everything, buy everything. To go to as many things as possible. Just don't forget about yourself.
Amen. Well, Erik, I wish you a wonderful holiday season full of joy and rest and peace and family and love.
Same to you. Thank you. Same to you and to everyone listening and watching.
Take care. Thanks for joining in. And please, again, the gift to us would be hitting that subscribe button, sharing us with your friends and colleagues, and knowing that you all out there are doing well because your food matters. Take care, Erik.
Alrighty, Sue. Bye, everyone.
Bye.